W261AX, Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
From ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. The State Department says it's optimistic it can work things out with Kenya after
a Kenyan court has put a pause on the Trump administration's plan to open a 50-bed field hospital in the country for Americans exposed to the Ebola virus. The African CDC has suggested Kenya's government was pressured into housing the center. Some experts also warning that a foreign facility is a strategic mistake, saying U.S. nationals impacted by the outbreak should be brought home. Shannon Kingston, ABC News, the State Department.
the federal judge who oversaw President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS is now demanding answers from the president's lawyers and the DOJ over whether their settlement that created a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund may have amounted to an effort to intentionally deceive her. This is Friday. A judge temporarily blocked payments from that fund. ABC News legal contributor Kim Whaley.
This is going to stay with this lower court judge, and then when there's a final resolution, only then will the Trump administration have the ability to appeal it.
Despite a ceasefire agreement that's been in place in Lebanon since mid-April, Hezbollah has continued to attack Israeli soldiers in southern Lebanon and fire projectiles at northern Israel.
In Lebanon, Israeli forces going on the offensive there. The ceasefire there really not adding up to very much at all. The UN are reporting something in the region of 11 children inside Lebanon are being killed or wounded every single day through military action.
ABC's Ian Panel in Tel Aviv. Louisiana Friday enacted a new congressional map that could help Republicans gain one more seat in the House of Representatives. The new map eliminates one of the state's two black majority districts. Democratic Louisiana State Senator Royce Duplessis says that the map will face new legal challenges.
We know we're going to end up right back in court because this map is a racially gerrymandered map, no matter how they try to spin it.
You're listening to ABC News.
Hot summer days and high energy bills are on the way. Upgrade your home's old leaky windows this month during Window Nation's Buy 4 Get 4 free sale. Yes, half of your new beautiful energy efficient windows free. Plus no money down and no monthly payments or interest for 2 years. Call now 866-200-8670 or windownation.com. In select markets, trust our family of brands, New South Window and ArmorView. That's 866-200-8670 or windownation.com to book a consultation.
I've been telling you all about the Secret War on our cash and the free report you can receive a copy of by contacting Swiss America at 800-289-2646. I'd also like to encourage you to subscribe to their podcast on YouTube. Just search Swiss America Trading. The podcast can provide you a ton of vital information and financial news in the challenging and uncertain times we're in. Subscribe today. Learn more about BRICS, industry leaders, and their market predictions for the future, along with what you might expect to see in terms of precious metal performance in the weeks and months ahead. Message and data rates may apply.
A growing number of performers are pulling out of the Great American State Fair on the National Mall in Washington. Martina McBride there. Also Brett Michaels, Young MC, Morris Day, and The Time, and the Commodores have now publicly stated that they will not perform, with several alleging they were misled about the nature of the event. 3 people are confirmed dead in the Dallas apartment complex fire, including a child.
Nobody is missing any longer from the apartment complex after Thursday's gas explosion. Dallas Fire and Rescue Chief Justin Ball.
Everyone is accounted for per the resident list that we acquired from the complex.
The owner of the apartment building says as part of a sale of the building and one next door to it, an engineering firm was doing soil tests, and while boring, the excavation company hit a gas line. Alex Stone, ABC News.
The U.S. Coast Guard helped with the rescue of a 74-year-old Canadian citizen stuck on board a disabled sailing vessel hundreds of miles off the coast of Oregon. They say they kept an eye on the man while identifying a nearby cruise ship that rescued that man and who sustained an injury. Government survey data finds the cigarette smoking rate among U.S. adults fell to another all-time low last year, with with just 1 in 11 Americans saying they're currently smokers. In the mid-1960s, 42% of U.S. adults were smokers. Last year, that rate was 9%. Dave Packer, ABC News.
Here's the latest from the KDKA Community Message Board.
It's back in the heart of downtown Pittsburgh. Rock, Reggae, and Relief returns Saturday, August 8th, featuring UB40, Allie Campbell, G-Love, and more. Enjoy summer vibes while supporting Cafe Momentum. Get your tickets today at rockreggaerelief.com. New to Rivers Casino? Join now and earn up to $1,000 free slot play. Stop by Rush Rewards on your next visit to start earning today. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. March of Dimes that starts with Mom PA Military Shower helps pregnant military families have one less thing to worry about with a fun, informative, and free baby shower Saturday, August 22nd at the 316th Sustainment Command. If you're pregnant and you or your partner are an E6 or below active duty, reserve, or veteran military service member, call 412-506-8610 to join them.
Details at KDKARadio.com.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
It is going to be a decent day with plenty of sunshine. We'll have a high climbing up to 72. Chilly tonight, though, with clear skies, a moonlit sky with a low down to 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow, a nicer afternoon with a high up to 75. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Rindy, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Rob Fracks on the voice of Pittsburgh, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
So after more than 2.5 years of study and one complete shift, its goal, Pittsburgh Regional Transit is still getting some harsh feedback on efforts to reshape its bus service. The PRT board heard from around 20 riders and advocates yesterday who have concerns about the agency continuing the attempt to change bus service. The comments at the board meeting followed a news conference by Pittsburghers for Public Transit Outside, PRT headquarters on 6th Avenue downtown. All right, so let me just say this. I understand the only thing, as the saying goes, that is constant is change. And I think most of you know who've been listening to me for decades, I'm a massive fan of the PRT. In all of the forms and various names throughout my career, the single most important thing about what they do is simple: getting people from point A to point B. And there are concerns about some saying that, look, we'll be landlocked. We're not going to be able to get the resources that we need, the subsistence, food, clothing, or just to make those daily trips, those errands that we all do every day. You know, it is a privilege to be able to drive an automobile and to have a license that is stamped and that seal of approval from the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, but not everybody can do it for a number of reasons. Hey, just the price of gasoline alone. I have said time and time again, if you want to save money, hey, get yourself a pass with a PRT, put the car in the garage, give it a good once-over, a nice wax job, and stick it in the garage for the summer months until this gas situation comes down, and let the PRT do the driving for you. Look, people that are smarter than me will figure this out. But look, not to say I'm a man of the people, but my whole mission, ever since I was given this opportunity to be a broadcaster/entertainer, and maybe even some say a somewhat journalist, it's about getting the message out to help the people who matter. In the city of Pittsburgh and in this region, you all matter to me, including the drivers of those PRT buses, those who turn a wrench and work for them, and everyone in the front office administration and more. But I also know that there are citizens who are aging, like me, who just need that certain comfort, that ability to be able to get up and get going and get those things done. And everybody wants their independence. They don't want to rely on anyone else. That's still one of my biggest fears moving forward. I want to stand alone. I want to be able to get it done on my own. And you have to do the deep dive when it comes to these routes, when it comes to the PRT, because people are concerned that that ability to stand alone and be on their own and self-sufficient could be taken away from them. And there are others that simply have no one else but themselves to count on. So just do a little more research. And I know you two, meaning both sides, those who ride the PRT and those who promote it and work for it, will get it done. Here's another local story that piqued my interest. A lawsuit filed Friday by Allegheny County Sheriff Kevin Krause alleges the current efforts to put term limits on elected county officials, including his, violates the Pennsylvania Constitution. An ordinance passes in April by county council members will put the question of term limits to a referendum in the November election. The ordinance dictated 3 separate ballot questions that asked whether the county should establish 12-year term limits for council members and row offices such as controller, district attorney, sheriff, and treasurer. Let me say this. Early on in my broadcast career, in life many decades ago, I covered the county courthouse in Beaver County, and I got to know everyone from the controller to the commissioners to the treasurer to the sheriff. And the district attorney, too. There are just certain workings of that county, whether it be Beaver, Washington, Butler, Lawrence, or Allegheny, that are necessary to be able to grow with the citizenship and from one generation to the next. And I'm not going to dive into all of this. We'll talk about it and maybe get to some of the legalities and the aspect of it as we move closer to the election, because this is the big deal. And I have the utmost respect for Kevin Krause. And, I've said many times, if it isn't for that local sheriff's department, that's the last line of defense. Sheriff's departments do more behind the scenes and some things that you just don't notice when you see one of those cruisers going through your neighborhood, that you would be astounded to find out what they do. But as sheriff, these men and women throughout the country do incredible things. They are the footprint. They are literally the face of the community or the county they call home. They do a lot of stuff for local charities. They go out and speak to many groups for special occasions, and they represent law enforcement at the highest and best level. And this is something that is achieved over time. And it really does take more than just one term, in some cases 2 or 3. And if you find somebody who is locked in, like a Kevin Krause, who wants to be there for a while to grow with it when there are so many things that need to be taken care of, I say you should be thankful and fortunate for it. But I understand where the county is going with future and the opportunity to get new voices, new thought processes, new ideas. But I've often said, too, even though they don't have the commissioner thing anymore in Allegheny County, the chief executive's office does work. But sometimes it takes more than one thought process to kind of get the ball rolling. And that's why when I look at Beaver County and also Washington County and others who still go that traditional route with commissioners, that governing body that oversees the entire row office lineup, sometimes it's just a recipe for success. Might not be everyone's favorite recipe, but I grew up in it, and I saw it firsthand for years covering the courthouse and what these people do every day behind the scenes to take care of the people that they represent. And throughout my years covering that sheriff's department in Beaver County, and here in Allegheny County with Mr. Mullins and Mr. Krause, they could go above and beyond every day. And it's about partnerships and relationships. It's like a good recipe, that secret sauce, a little ingredient here and a little ingredient here, but you got to let it simmer, and it takes time. But when it's done, it's a good thing. And I think he's got a lot more work to do because he loves what he does. Something to consider and something we'll be looking at as we move closer to those November elections. Hey, so how was your last couple of days? Mine were busy, out and about, doing a lot of stuff via social media, and always good catching up with folks outside to promote what we're doing at KDKA and to kind of give you an opportunity to see a little bit more of my thought process when it comes to the great responsibility that I have at KDKA. So I wanted to start off with a couple of local stories because we've been talking so much about what's happening overseas that I don't want to lose sight of what really matters most, and that is this place right here. And something that's really been bugging me quite a bit is the Pittsburgh Public Schools. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that after the break, what the board has decided to do. It's going to take some time, and they're going to, give it some time before they start shuttering and reshifting buildings. But the state of public education in our country right now is under siege, and it scares me. It really, really scares me because it's the great gift that we all have to be able to pass on to future generations. And, without these teachers and administrators and guidance counselors and people who go to work every day, a lot of these kids would never have a fighting chance in the world that we live in. And the Pittsburgh Public Schools is the crown jewel. So I got some things to say about that coming up a little bit. Plus, we are going to talk about some of the stuff that's making news around the world that kind of really circles back full circle right to where we live in this place that is Pennsylvania and right here in the city of Pittsburgh and the surrounding county. So busy day, open talk until 8. Anything on your mind you want to jump in? Maybe I piqued your interest already, or you want to bring something to the table, 866-391-1020. You know, you can always listen to us at 100.1 FM, AM 1020 KDKA, or on that Odyssey app, AUDACY. But you can also watch us online with our KDK video stream presented by Metropolitan Window Company. Just go to KDKRadio.com and click on Watch KDK Radio Livestream. Or now you can just go to our KDK Radio YouTube page and watch everything we're doing in the studios. 866-391-1020. And don't forget, if you know someone in your community that's done extraordinary things in the past year, nominate them now, KDKRadio.com, to be honored at this year's Larry's Hometown Heroes event. So phone lines are open, 866-391-1020, or NASCO Roofing Instant Access to our shows. A click away. Email us at Instant Access, KDKRadio.com.
When you need to talk, we're here for you. Always have been. News Radio KDKA.
News Radio KDKA Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Quality Foods with 8 locations to serve you a Pittsburgh tradition. Jared Jones returned. O'Neal Cruz homered, but it was Brian Reynolds who got the curtain call with a walk-off homer. Bucks beat Minnesota 6-5. 2 teams again today, PNC Park. First pitch 4:05, 93-7 the Fan. Carolina defeated Montreal 6-1. They move on to the final in the chase for Lord Stanley's Cup. They'll drop the puck Tuesday against Vegas. And it's Game 7. Winner moves on to the final in the NBA against the Knicks. It's happening tonight, San Antonio and OKC. And the Riverhounds will host Miami tonight. And through 2 rounds of the Charles Schwab Challenge, your leader is Jordan Smith at 10 under with a 1-shot lead. More sports at 937thefan.com.
Suffering from peripheral neuropathy? Learn how over 15,000 sufferers regained their comfort, mobility, and quality of life with Tri-State Neuropathy Center's successful treatment plan that is FDA cleared, non-invasive, and drug-free. Here's Sean Ritchie, DC, and Tri-State's founder, about one of their many satisfied patients.
One thing I like about having the most effective treatment protocol on the market for peripheral neuropathy is the stories that we hear. Like Karen from Export, she suffered with neuropathy for 3 years, and it got so bad that she couldn't even wear her normal shoes. In fact, she got rid of them and can only wear Skechers. After going through the program, now she's able to wear any shoes she wants, and she's very disappointed that she got rid of all her other shoes.
Tri-State Neuropathy Centers helped Karen. Let them help you next. Call 724-940-9000 for an initial free consultation. That's 724-940-9000. Tri-State Neuropathy Centers, the leader in treating peripheral neuropathy. Learn more at marydanston.com.
Save big and head to your local Toro dealer for the spring sales event on now. Groundbreaking savings on Toro zero-turn, stand-on, and walk-behind mowers. Stop in today to check out the great deals and amazing finance offers. For more information on spring sales event deals, visit your local Toro dealer. Penn Hills Rental at 11125 Frankstown Road, or call 412-242-6777. Open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. and Saturday, 8 a.m. to noon. Call 412-242-6777.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
Where Pittsburgh comes to talk. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
The Berg Proud Challenge is gaining momentum, and we need you. Join Greater Pittsburgh Community Food Bank along with the Penguins, Pirates, and Steelers by moving 30 miles this June. You can grab a one-of-a-kind Berg Proud shirt featuring all 3 black and gold logos when you start a fundraising campaign and raise your first $25. Plus, your contribution goes twice as far thanks to a matching grant from the Richard King Mellon Foundation. Sign up today at pittsburghfoodbank.org/Odyssey, AUDACY, Pittsburgh, and celebrate the Babesburg Bass Saturday, June 6th at Allegheny Landing. Shop women-owned businesses, enjoy craft tasting, and vibe to live DJs, hosted by WAMO's Kiki Jones. And don't miss the Pittsburgh's biggest celebration of women. Tickets are on sale now at babesburg.com. All right, let me just bring up one other thing about the PRT and these bus routes, and then we're going to jump into some stuff about the Pittsburgh Public Schools. You know, you have to understand what's happening in our country. And I was doing a lot of thinking about this the other day. A lot of these little neighborhoods that the city of neighborhoods were all about, when you had a Main Street and you had a melon bank on every street, you had a grocery store, you had shops, you had eateries, you just had businesses, you had life, you had a pulse. And, you know, I was thinking about this the other day because I was thinking about Beaver County and what I have seen change just in Beaver County. You know, I can remember talking to people such as my mailman, who was named Brad, and he was from Ambridge, but he was my mailman in Monaca when I lived back there in the early 90s. And we really became good friends. We would get our hair cut at the same place, and, you know, that was kind of like where I would sit down and relax a little bit because I was bouncing back and forth from here to West Virginia and Ohio like every day. And I remember him talking to me about growing up in Ambridge, and he said, you know, my parents never had a car. And I was stunned by that. I'm like, what do you mean they never had a car? He said, they walked everywhere. So shortly thereafter, a good friend of mine who happened to be a heart surgeon, we were talking one day, and he said, I too grew up in Ambridge, and literally within a split second, my parents never owned a car. And I said, funny you should mention that, because my mailman said that not too long ago. But when these neighborhoods were thriving because of the mills and the manufacturing, right? Everything people needed was right there. So it's not so much it's the PRT's problem, although I'm sure they'll find a way to make it work, but there is a problem for the residents of the city of Pittsburgh. You know, they are forgotten when it comes to some of these neighborhoods because, you know, we forget. I mean, honestly, if it wasn't for Dollar General, a lot of places that I know would have no ability to buy any of the things that they need, right? And that's why I really love promoting the grocery industry like Coons Market. And we're a neighborhood grocer. We have one on Highwood Street of the North Side. It's rare. I mean, that's a Pittsburgh basic address that there's a grocery store. And those people, I'm sure, appreciate it. We have a store in Bellevue where people can walk. Ingomar, where they can walk. I mean, sometimes because we have the ability to get into an automobile and drive, we lose sight of people that are landlocked and cannot. And when you had a lot of people in the neighborhood, like when I was a kid, a couple of the widows in the neighborhood or individuals that had lost their spouse, man or woman, they could say, hey, little Robbie Pratt, do me a favor. Will you go out and get my mail for me? Or will you go pick up that paper at the end of the sidewalk? Or could you run down to the store and get me a gallon of milk and bread? And when we got the ability to get our permits and eventually our driver's license at 16, to get your hands on a vehicle, you'd do anything. You'd go get the entire neighborhood a gallon of milk, right? But now, because of great places like these neighborhoods, a lot of the young people have moved out. And you don't even have them to shovel your snow or to cut your grass. I mean, I remember back in the day, your dad would say, look, when I get home, that grass better be cut. And so-and-so, who just lost her husband, you better not let her be cutting her own grass. Go over there and cut her grass. I mean, it was just what we did. But we had a grocery store literally 5 minutes from where I grew up. I've always lived in a place where there's a grocery store. I live in a great community now, Monaca, which they don't have a grocery store, but they have a Dollar General. But right across the bridge, there's a couple of grocery stores. And in Hopewell, where I normally go, there's Coons Market, about a 15-minute drive. But imagine if you're listening to me right now and you live in one of these neighborhoods and you don't have a grocery store or a bank, imagine what that does to your life. Imagine what that does to your life. So we got to look at the big picture. And now with the Pittsburgh Public Schools going to be shuttering buildings, maybe these buildings, if they're going to be shuttered, maybe somebody could invest into some of these buildings to give people what they need. And I know what a lot of people are saying, look, Rob, I'd like to do a business here or put a business here, but it's not conducive. Well, it would be conducive if we could start creating a better job market. And this is where I hold a lot of politicians' feet to the fire. I think we get so caught up on, well, we got to fix the roads and bridges and we got to do this and we got to do that. We need to raise more money. But are you doing enough to keep people in these communities? Are you doing, and it's not just Pittsburgh. Believe me, I could take you to places in Beaver County. I could take you to places in Washington County. I could take you to places in Butler County. There are a lot of people that are not really enjoying the resources. I mean, I can't even fathom if we did not have a bank or two or three in New Brighton when I was growing up. I can't imagine if the Old Economy supermarket wasn't in New Brighton. We all came from large families. I mean, I just can't imagine. Went through the Thoroughfare, the Krogers, the Loblaws. I mean, these were names that I grew up with. I mean, I remember when the Loblaws in New Brighton closed down, people were panicking because you had the Economy supermarket and they were all wondering, where's that going to go? And then the A&P opened, Atlantic and Pacific. They had 5,000 stores at one time, and then they closed. I mean, it was like, I surely hope nothing happens to the Economy supermarket. I mean, that was like, nobody wanted to go anywhere. And I remember when they opened a Shop and Save down on Junction Stretch, which is Route 51, my dad was joyful because he loved to grocery shop. But he did everything on a Saturday morning. He would get up at 5:30. He would shower. He would do what he had to do, make a little breakfast. He'd be off to the grocery store. That's when he did all of his stuff. And the banking always took place on Friday on the way home from work. But I mean, imagine if you have checks building up, or you need to go deposit, or you need to withdraw, and you can't get to the bank. Imagine you need food, you need bread, you need milk, and trivial as it may sound, and if you can't get there, that's not good. So as much as we're looking at these routes and the concern, and I had some people call me just the other night on my show talking about this, I wanted to look at it from a proper perspective, okay? And that's why when you look at even the sheriff thing with Allegheny County Sheriff Kevin Krause and these term limits, you realize that some of these people, like a longstanding sheriff, are the only form of communication and connection to the outside world. And when people get to recognize a face and they get to know a name, and in some of these areas that don't have all the resources, and maybe even a dwindling police department, maybe they're doubling up with another police department, and a lot of new officers come and go, and they don't really know them. That sheriff, even if it's just a picture on a poster during the election, it's comforting to know that they're there. We basically are taking that comforter, the one that's always thrown over the lazy boy so you can just drape it across your legs if you decide to take a nap or if there's a little chill in the air. Well, all of a sudden, that thing is gone. And I'm just going to say this, and I'd love to get your opinion. I think we have forgotten about some of the people who really made Pittsburgh what it is, and this region. And that's just not Pittsburgh, even where I live. I think about what Monaca used to be like, and we're going through a streetscape there that's been going on for a long time, and it's going to get refreshed, and it's going to look great. But I look at all the buildings, and not just Monaca. I mean, I drive through a Midland, I drive through all these different communities, Rochester, all the time, and I remember what they used to be. And I know they're all trying very hard, and I love it. And I see good places like Ambridge, Beaver Falls. They're all trying, but we got to create jobs. It's the only way back. It's the only way back. And by creating jobs, we give people a chance to actually have a life, a Main Street. Main Street is important. It's the main artery, if you will, the heartbeat. And I feel as though we're forgetting about the people who really built this region and why we are still here today being able to enjoy this region. And you can't keep moving further away and thinking it'll go away, because it won't. All right, give me some of your thoughts. Are we really doing some of the seniors an injustice by not helping them just live every day? 866-391-1020.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. I am quite aware of the dangers being on the road. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. These families' lives will be changed in an instant. We fight for these families as if they were our own. We've become America's largest injury law firm by winning cases just like these. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Injured? Dial pound law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
My name is Whitney Allen, and I'm a widow. My husband, Ryan, died. We never thought we'd ever have to use life insurance, but the unexpected happened. With Ethos, signing up was fast and 100% online. You can get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. No medical exams, and you can get up to $3 million worth of coverage. I'm grateful we were prepared.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
While you sleep, there are people you've never met who are working hard to make your morning. People who get up at ungodly hours to make sure you get the information you want. People who dedicate their lives to make yours better while you sleep. These people come together during the Big K Morning Show with Larry Richert, 5:30 to 10 in the morning, to make sure you have the best news, traffic, and weather to start your day. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA. From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
ABC News, I'm Dave Packer. The State Department says it's optimistic it can work things out with Kenya after that nation's highest court put a pause on the Trump administration's plan to open a 50-bed field hospital in the country for Americans exposed to Ebola. The African CDC has suggested Kenya's government was pressured into housing the center. Louisiana Friday enacted a new congressional map that could help Republicans gain one more seat in the House of Representatives. The new map eliminates one of the state's two black majority districts. Democratic Louisiana Senator Royce Duplessis.
We know we're going to end up right back in court because this map is a racially gerrymandered map, no matter how they try to spin it.
The federal judge who oversaw President Trump's lawsuit against the IRS now demanding answers from the president's lawyers and the DOJ over whether their settlement that created a $1.8 billion anti-weaponization fund may have amounted to an effort to intentionally deceive her. This Friday, a judge temporarily blocked payments from that fund. This is ABC News.
This is Michael Bartley. Do you know some third-party vacation rental sites charge extra fees just for using their platform? On a full week stay at a larger vacation home, those fees can be significant. On one real 7-night stay, a guest could have saved $2,800 by booking directly with SWAC Vacations. That's money that stays in your pocket for dinners, groceries, or a few extra experiences on the trip. Visit swacvacations.com and book direct. SWACK Vacations. Same stay, fewer fees.
Hi, this is Father Tom Burke of the Diocese of Pittsburgh. Join me for Catholic Education Plus as we explore summer enrichment programs. Catholic Education Plus airs this Sunday morning at 6:30 and is sponsored by Sam and Judy Spanos and the Diocese of Pittsburgh.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
We will have mostly sunny skies today. A nice afternoon with a high up to 72. Tonight we'll have clear skies. It's going to be chilly with a low down to 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Another nice afternoon. High moving up to 75. 75 again on Monday. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Riddy, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
All right, here we go. Be back with you on Monday, and it'll be a great one. Enjoy the weekend, and I'll talk to you on Monday. Colin Dunlap right here, KDKA, 2 to 6.
All right, let's get going to the phones. Let's say hi to Anthony in Oakland. He begins our Saturday morning. Good morning, Anthony.
Hey, Rob, did you happen to see that fellow I was telling you about on Liberty Avenue?
I did not. I got so busy doing outside work for this little thing that I have called social media. I did not, but I thought about it.
Well, here's the issue, Rob. This area will never grow if we don't increase the population base. And you do it by eliminating a lot of red tape and regulations and taxes. Our Commonwealth is one of the highest tax states in the nation. It needs to be streamlined. And this is a Republican and Democratic problem because our legislature is divided. But they're not coming up with any new ideas. They're entrenched. They get plenty of perks. I mean, they get lifetime health insurance and per diems, and I mean, they pay off the judges so they make sure that nobody could ever challenge them in court. I mean, it's almost like a syndicate we have here in this Commonwealth. So we're not going to grow. We're not going to grow like Texas. We're not going to grow like Tennessee or Florida or those states because we've got too many regulations and we've got too many progressive crazies running around who instead of trying to help business are trying to hurt business. So that's the problem. And then we've got outrageous juveniles doing all kind of crimes. And then they wonder why the schools are failing. Well, these same criminal juveniles are the ones that are in the schools.
You're right.
So how do you expect? Right? So if they're acting up in the streets, what do you think they're doing in the classroom? So, well, you can't incarcerate your way out of it. Well, right now we can't incarcerate at all because you closed down the only juvenile facility that we had. Listen, folks, you can't live in a society if you don't have the rule of law. Rob.
Let me ask you something. How do you feel, though, about what my little opening monologue just moments ago was kind of tied into about all of these communities? And you know Pittsburgh better than I do. Oakland's still a pretty thriving metropolis, but, man, some of these communities, they don't have even one single building on Main Street that's actually functioning. I've seen it firsthand. That, to me, how could we have let it get to the point where there's no functioning business on various main streets throughout this region? How could we let that happen?
Well, I gave you the explanation. You have high taxes and regulations. Nobody's going to invest, and then they're throwing on unfunded mandates like you got those crazy progressives down in Allegheny County who want to have businesses, small businesses, strapped with giving their employees 18 weeks paid time off. You know what? Well, I worked for a union for many, many years.
Yes.
They're trying to give, because we're an at-will state. You know that, right?
I know.
That's what we are.
Right.
Rob, you can't give at-will employees the same benefits you do unionized employees. Do you folks calculate what 18 weeks paid time off is? That's 4 months. What small business can handle who may have 4 or 5 employees, 2 of their employees off? That's woman and man. This is absurd.
I know. Well, and look, I can't imagine. Listen, I understand you need time to recoup, but why does a man have to take time off?
Rob, no, you don't need time. Let me tell you, let me give these folks a little history lesson. My first son was born in 1974, the night of the George Foreman Muhammad Ali fight. I got to watch it on closed circuit.
Oh, were you with me? You were with me at the Hilton then that night.
No, I saw it here in East Liberty at the Sheridan Square.
Okay.
But guess what, Rob? The next day I had to go to work.
I get it.
Okay? Because why? If I don't go to work, that newborn would eat. So, I mean, this is absurd. Everyone needs time to acclimate. No, you don't. You work it out with the family, and you go to work. Somebody has to feed the family.
Who's coming up with these ideas? Why are they? I don't get it. I mean, we should be figuring out how we should be putting people back in these buildings that are empty or creating jobs so people actually say, I'm going to stay right where my parents and grandparents lived. I mean, you're saying you explained to me, but you think in 40 years that all this decay has been happening, if not longer, somebody would have stumbled into something to change it, Anthony.
Well, look, we have the land. We just don't have the ideas and the will. Look, I'm 70 years old now. I wish I was 40 and would run for office because I would streamline everything. First thing you have to do is, look, folks, you don't have legal grounds to pitch a tent on Fifth Avenue. You don't have legal grounds. Because if that were the case, the people during the Depression would have been living in downtown Pittsburgh. They weren't living in downtown Pittsburgh because the law wouldn't allow them. First thing you have to do is enforce laws. Second thing you have to do is get these kids off their cell phones, because I'm tired of hearing, all these kids have nothing to do. They're so poor. Well, how do you afford a $1,000 cell phone and $400 tennis shoes? Where'd that come from? So you got the money, you just misplace what you're doing with the money. but it takes will. And they look at me and they look at Mr. Windmill. They don't want to hear my ideas because I'm outdated to them. I'm not up to date. Yes, I am. You want to know why? Because I was raised by people who lived in legalized segregation, Jim Crow, and the Depression, and raised 11 children. And they raised me with values and respect. We didn't have money. My grandmother always told me, you don't equate one's behavior with how much money one has.
Yeah, I mean,
but that's what this generation has done. They equate behavior with money.
11 kids.
And as long as you do that, you have no society.
How did they do that?
Well, Robert, we live in an informational age. They see things on it. They're being inspired by kooks on the internet who tell them to go out and have team takeovers and all this other nonsense. And these morons are so stupid they go do it. Or inhale cinnamon or climb up buildings and jump off. And they go do it. And then the parents want to blame the internet companies. Oh, the internet. No, lady. Why aren't you watching what your little child is doing, consuming on his own cell phone? You're paying for it. So, Rob, look, we have values of the past, man. We're old relics. We'll be gone. And you know what, Rob? God forbid what happens to the society when you and I are gone. Good night, man.
All right, bro.
See you later.
All right, see you. Hey, Kenny, good morning. Welcome to the show.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, go right ahead.
Okay. Yeah, I took some time while I was doing yours this week to think about what I wanted to talk about today. And believe it or not, I was thinking about you, and I was thinking about how is this guy still pushing the Democratic mantra after all these years and the destruction of a city that you've pushed for. And you see what's going on. And Anthony even brought up what I was thinking. And I come across a lot of people, and people see me with my hat, and they talk to me. One lady caught me at the gas station. I can't believe Trump's doing this, Trump's doing that. And I said, it's the party of the Democrats in general. I said, and it was a younger lady. She said, yeah, but he's doing this, he's doing that. I said, yeah, but you can't afford things for one reason. She goes, what's that? I said, because when I was younger than you, my tax rate was 23%, 23 cents a dollar. We're over 50 cents on the dollar. I explained this to her. It took me like 5 minutes, and I had stuff to do. But when she left, she was thinking about what I was talking about. And the stuff I told her, it was resonating because she was experiencing it. And let's take you, for example. Why not beat up the ones we like the most? Okay. Let's say, for example, I don't know what you make, but here's a thought. Take $100,000 off of your yearly salary, okay? And you got to live on the rest. And then that rest that you have is taxed. And you're like, at this point in time in your life, you would say, okay. But here's the thing. The Democrats love to invent taxes. So we're going to invent a tax for you, Rob. So we're going to go back 10 years and take $100,000 for every 10 years. No matter what, it's gone. Then try to live on that. And that's what these people up here are experiencing. Up here, population is gone. It's gone everywhere. And it has to – Pittsburgh schools aren't the crown jewel. They're like the lower quarter if you look at the state averages. And you let these teachers work 8 months out of the year, get paid for 12. And if somebody told me when I was in kindergarten, if I had to pay for a teacher for the rest of my life, if I rented a house or owned a piece of property, I'd have quit school in kindergarten. Because what I'm doing now, I did in elementary school. And you know what? People learn. And the kids don't have a chance. You have to – this government in Pennsylvania, you may love Josh Shapiro, but this guy hasn't done anything for the people of Pennsylvania. I mean, give a grant here, open a park there, put a Ferris wheel here, grant money here. Who pays for those grants? Every person in the state. Can't you help the people that are paying the taxes? For God's sake, they got to do something here soon. I mean, no businesses will come here. No businesses will thrive. And you know what? That's just taxes. And safety, what I'm seeing on these news channels is in Pittsburgh, it's horrific. It's like a third world country. I mean, I'm looking at some of this stuff on TV, and it's scaring me. And I don't even live down there.
All right, Kenny. Appreciate it. All right. Thanks for the call. 866-391-1020. That's 866-391-1020. Coming back with more of your calls next. Rob Taylor, 15 minutes away with the news at 6.
When you need to know, depend on the news leader. At home, in your car, or at work. The voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM, AM 1020, and KDKA-radio.com. News Radio, KDKA, Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Quality Foods with 8 locations to serve you a Pittsburgh tradition. Jared Jones returned. O'Neal Cruz homered, but it was Brian Reynolds who got the curtain call with a walk-off homer. Bucks beat Minnesota 6-5. 2 teams again today, PNC Park. First pitch 4:05, 93-7 the Fan. Carolina defeated Montreal 6-1. They move on to the final in the chase for Lord Stanley's Cup. They'll drop the puck Tuesday against Vegas. And it's Game 7. Winner moves on to the final in the NBA against the Knicks. It's happening tonight, San Antonio and OKC. And the Riverhounds will host Miami tonight. And through 2 rounds of the Charles Schwab Challenge, your leader is Jordan Smith at 10 under with a 1-shot lead. More sports at 937thefan.com.
If you're in the Pittsburgh area and caring for a loved one with Medicaid, get paid starting today. Freedom Care has already helped over 162,000 families get the care they deserve, with 97% satisfaction and more than 8,000 5-star reviews. If you have Medicaid, you need to hear this. You may qualify to choose a caregiver you already trust, a family member or friend, and they can start getting paid. No agencies, no strangers, just someone you know, helping with meals, medication, bathing, mobility, and more. This service isn't for later, it's for right now. It's 100% free to you through Medicaid, and caregivers get paid right away after their shift. Find out if you qualify today. Call 412-801-7213. That's 412-801-7213. Don't wait. Call 412-801-7213 now. Again, 412-801-7213. Freedom Care. Get paid to care starting now.
Freedom Care. We're here for
The 50,000-watt voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
I mean, listen, we can blame it on politicians. We can blame it on the lack of, the population. But somebody's got to do something. I mean, because you realize there are things happening every single day, like this PRT story, that are affecting people where they live. I mean, we are losing so much as far as wanting to help thy neighbor. I mean, whatever happened to actually saying, you know what, enough's enough. And I've been saying this for the longest time. Do you realize how many jobs we've lost? Stuff that was like common. And I literally don't even like taking a Sunday drive anymore. I don't. I used to love when I'd get off the air to decompress, get a cup of coffee, drive around. I go through some of these communities in the tri-state that I've been a part of my entire life, and it sends chills down my spine. I can't even go because there's no businesses on Main Street. I mean, none. I was in a community not that long ago. I counted 21 empty storefronts, 21 within 4 blocks. I mean, and some of these outlying areas, these suburbs, you got to drive 10 miles and get stuck in traffic, bumper to bumper, just to go, get a gallon of milk. That's crazy. That's crazy. And we are moving so far away from society that we live in these wonderful suburbs that I love too, but people have an acre of ground, a gate around their house, a fence. They don't even know who their neighbors are. And one of the things that Main Street gave us was the ability to know our neighbors. That's why I was talking like a Kevin Krause staying in a sheriff. It's important. These are things that people cling on to, hang on to. I mean, you remember going to the Mellon Bank in your community, right? The Isley store, your community. You knew everybody that worked there. They knew you. They knew your kids. I was telling somebody earlier today about my grandmother working at Isley's and how we would walk across this bridge at 11 o'clock at night, and she'd give us last call with a skyscraper cone, put us all up there on the little stool, and we walked back. There was no fear of anything. Now you have people that can't even go out, like a beautiful morning like now, the full moon, like, what is it, 65 degrees? Might want to walk their dog before the sun comes up. Can't do it. I mean, that's crazy. 866-391-1020. Here's Ted, Mount Washington. Hey, Ted.
What's going on, Rob?
It's Saturday morning, and it's good to hear your voice. How was your week?
Oh, fantastic.
Good, man.
I like what you said. It's crazy. But you know what else is crazy?
What's that?
The kids today think this is normal.
Yes, I know. That's what's scary.
That is crazy. They actually think it's normal. And it's a shame. It's a shame. I agree 1,000%. And I'll tell you what, if you remember your little community bank you used to have, you didn't have all the metals and everything. I remember you used to have credit unions. And that was important because you can get your first car, first house, little small banks in communities. You don't have those anymore. And it says a lot about us. It also says a lot about, like Anthony said, about the state. One of the main reasons I always say, because we're losing population, a lot of politicians don't want to get rid of their jobs. We just don't have the population to support, the bureaucracy. And I do agree with term limits. I understand what you're saying about the sheriff, but look, the county itself and even the city, we don't have the money for the pensions, don't have the money for the benefits we used to. And that's coming down the line. I mean, they're like I say, Allegheny County is going to struggle just with their pension fund. I mean, they're going to the city, same thing. So you got legacy costs. Also, I think the late Jim Roddy also said, I never forget, how come the county manager is not an elected position? Should be. Okay? When that was created, the county manager, for some reason, when the county exec gets in office, they pick their own county manager. That county manager does a heck of a lot, and no one knows about it. So to me, I agree with that. It should be elected position. So if we're going to reform government, that should be on the ballot too. And it's just sad. I agree. I mean, we don't have the tax base anymore. We got the biggest legislators in the country when it comes to Harrisburg. Those guys get the perks and they don't want to leave. And if we keep on losing population, they're going to have to make reforms. And I agree, Anthony, you're going to have to streamline government. And we're going to have to, I hate to say it, we're going to have to be a metropolitan. We're going to have to merge. And that's coming, that's coming, Rob. You see it as well as I do. They're going to have to merge.
Do you realize some families that were like synonymous with our neighborhoods growing up, there's no one left. That family has since moved to California, to Texas, to Florida 5 generations ago. I mean, the people that made the steel in even the 50s, there may be no legacy of their family history other than the people who were buried here. I mean, do you understand how many people must have moved out of these communities to where they have not one viable business on Main Street? I've driven through communities that will remain nameless that don't have one working business but a pawn shop, if anything, or a vape place. That's it.
Oh, what about that? Look what happened to the Catholic Church. Look how many churches are closed. Okay?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that's where it started. When you start closing churches, you're in trouble. Now the schools are going. And I'll be honest, you know what's going to happen to all those schools? Basically, you see it and I see it. And these politicians don't want to say it. Basically, somebody's going to break into it and start stripping the copper. Okay?
Oh, I know.
They're going to be vandalized.
I know.
Okay, they're not telling anybody that.
I mean,
that's
listen,
what's going to happen.
How dangerous is it for people? And I was just reading a major location where that was happening at, to where you've got people going in there who don't know nothing about electricity, don't know nothing about concrete, they don't know nothing about rebar and this and that and beams and structure, and they're ripping this copper out of the wall for a few bucks. and the entire building could come down on their head, or they could get electrocuted. That's how crazy people are.
Well, I hate to mention it, but I'm going to mention it. Pittsburgh, in general, and their surrounding areas, got a serious, and I'm not joking, Rob, a serious, not even a homeless problem, but also huge drug and alcohol problem. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, I've seen people with needles getting high. I'm talking about on the streets. I'm talking about all over the place. And they need to crack down on it. They need to get a drug task
But
force
how do you?
immediately.
But Ted, how do you do it? How do you stop it? Listen, here's the thing, and neither one in access is easy accessible. I mean, people can get their hands on any of this stuff. But I mean, when the mills were booming, a bump and a beer was like commonplace. But they would sober up and go to work. But now you have these people that are strung out on drugs. God bless them. I mean, they've got an addiction problem that drug becomes the single most important thing in their life. It's what they live for. And sadly, they become so lethargic and useless to themselves and others that many of them just end up with nothing. And it just has gone from one. I mean, this started with the crack epidemic in the 80s when the mills started to close. And it filtered its way in from the big cities to the smaller cities. But now it's the opioids, it's heroin. I mean, it's Narcan bringing people back from the dead every day. I guarantee you right now, somebody listening to me has just experienced a family member that has overdosed, and hopefully they've survived because of Narcan or whatever. And they're driving now, or they're at home, they can't sleep, and they're saying, I can't take this anymore. That's how commonplace this problem with addiction is right now.
Well, here's the thing. And every taxpayer should understand this. Pittsburgh and Allegheny County and other surrounding areas have a needle exchange program, which is outrageous. My tax dollars shouldn't be used to get people high. And they're so ignorant. I'm talking about the government officials. They don't even track the when you're supposed to use the needles. They don't even have decency to go clean them up.
Oh.
Okay. It's outrageous. And what is the government promoting? Vape shops, get high, gambling. Okay, next thing's going to be prostitution. And you know why they're doing it? Because they don't want to raise your taxes. But it is a tax. It's called the sin tax. Remember when you say almost every corner you see a vape shop, you go into a gasoline station, they got gambling? Okay, Rob, what society are we becoming? We got a governor who's saying, you know what, kids, yeah, go ahead, go get high. The government's going to let you do it. It's a sin and a shame.
It is. And listen, I got to get to a break, but I don't know how we change it. That's what's sad. I think we may have gone so far over the edge that there's no turning back. It's just sad. 866-391-1020. So how have we let a city as bright as Pittsburgh, and not just where Pittsburgh is, but just the surrounding tri-state, where we have these communities that have no resources. How do you even start building back? I mean, you basically have to level the entire main street and start over again. But if you have no business, how do you do it? 866-391-1020. Rob's next.
While you sleep, there are people you've never met who are working hard to make your morning. People who get up at ungodly hours to make sure you get the information you want. People who dedicate their lives to make yours better while you sleep. These people come together during the Big K Morning Show with Larry Richert, 5:30 to 10 in the morning, to make sure you have the best news, traffic, and weather to start your day. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
As the old saying goes, size matters.
At Morgan & Morgan, we have over 1,000 lawyers and nearly 6,000 people on staff.
But at the core, this is and always has been a family business.
Our family watching out for your family.
Call us or email us 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even on a Saturday or a Sunday.
And if you ever have a problem, call our mom.
Morgan & Morgan.
For the people and your family. Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
When you're at work, you never know when you'll be interrupted. But with the Dell Pro, powered by Intel Core Ultra with vPro, no matter what distracts you, your laptop won't. It's battery optimized for the way you work with built-in intelligence that quiets distractions when you need to focus. Your laptop will help keep you locked in, even when it's bring your dog to work day. Built for those who stay in the flow. The Dell Pro, built for you. Dell.com/Dell-Pro.
Here's the tale of the daily med fill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap GoodRx, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang, that one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check GoodRx. GoodRx is not insurance.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
It is 56 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 6 o'clock. I'm Rob Taylor. A 5-year-old child was flown to a Pittsburgh hospital after being found in a pool in Washington County. This happened Friday afternoon around 2:40 in the 200 block of Pine Nut Drive in Nottingham Township. Family members pulled the boy out of the in-ground pool by the time troopers and EMS arrived. CPR was performed on the boy before he was flown to a Pittsburgh hospital. As of this morning, the child's condition not readily available. A crash in Brookline Friday night sent 2 people to the hospital. It happened when a car collided with a pole on Route 51 at Edgebrook Avenue around 10:45. Both the driver and passenger were trapped in the car. Both people eventually rescued. Male driver and female passenger were taken to the hospital in serious but stable condition. That crash is under investigation. Well, a potentially tragic situation was diffused by Aliquippa police on Friday. Mayor Dwan Walker says police saw a 10-year-old boy pull out a gun from his waistband as they drove by, but they quickly found the boy. They were able to identify him and notify his mother. And Walker says while they were grateful no one was hurt, the incident serves as a reminder of how quickly a situation can escalate and how devastating the outcome could have been. Turned out to be a BB gun. Mayor Walker also reminded residents to talk to their kids about the dangers of guns. In Harrisburg, a 15-year-old high school student was shot and killed after getting off a school bus. Police say it happened Friday afternoon around 3 o'clock. Police believe the alleged gunman fled the scene on foot. No other students were injured. Investigators are trying to determine the circumstances that led to the shooting. The identity of that 15-year-old male high school student who was killed has not been released. In Texas, firefighters responding to reports of a gas leak at an apartment in Dallas. 3 people were killed. Here's ABC's Megan Norwood.
We're also hearing from the owner of Clyde Apartments, and we kind of got the backstory of kind of what led up to this and what was happening here. They tell me that the building says a company was working for the property's future buyer. They were doing some soil testing on the property here for a redevelopment project to turn these apartments into, some affordable housing when that line was hit.
KDKA Radio News Time 6:03. We've got the AccuWeather forecast next.
The Pittsburgh Speaker Series at Heinz Hall, presented by University of Pittsburgh, announces its 26-27 season. 7 events to challenge your mind, enlarge your world, and make you laugh. With Anderson Cooper, former UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson, historian Anne Applebaum, financial journalist Andrew Ross Sorkin, and the former U.S. Ambassador to China, Nicholas Burns. The series is sponsored by News Radio KDKA and the Spanos Group of Raymond James. Tickets on sale now at pittsburghspeakers.org.
With the new My Lowe's Pro Rewards American Express card, earn 3 points per dollar spent on Lowe's qualifying purchases for the first 6 months after card account opening. Plus, save 5% every day on eligible purchases at Lowe's and earn points on eligible purchases everywhere else Amex is accepted. Card members get more at Lowe's. Subject to credit approval. 5% can't be combined with any other offer. Exclusions and restrictions apply. Points subject to loyalty terms at Lowe's.com/terms and credit reward terms at Synchrony.com/MLPRA-terms. Visit Lowe's.com/business credit.
Straight Talk Wireless presents Pickup Truck Wisdom.
If you're only good to your new friends, you're not going to have any old ones. Straight Talk gets it. That's why new and existing customers get free 5G phones on Verizon's 5G network. Pretty simple, really. You keep good people by being good people.
Find us at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Straight Talk Wireless. Straightforward. Always. Taxes and fees apply. Plan purchase required for free phone offers. Copyright 2026 Verizon.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred roofing replacement contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
It is going to be a decent day with plenty of sunshine. We'll have a high climbing up to 72. Chilly tonight, though, with clear skies, a moonlit sky with a low down to 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow, a nicer afternoon with a high up to 75. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Rindy, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Hey, Rob, real quick, I just want to take a little bit of time to tell you, along with your coworkers at the New Pittsburgh Courier, a great job, comprehensive coverage about the situation with the Pittsburgh Public Schools. I was checking all the video out, and I think you and your colleagues did a good job on that.
Yeah, we were right there Wednesday night when that 6-2, and then with one abstaining vote to basically go ahead with that facilities or that future ready facilities plan. And we were right there with our cameras, and one of the people who were in the audience, Jaslyn Norwood,
yes.
or Jaslyn Worthy rather.
Mm-hmm.
Gave her a piece of her mind to the school board. She was obviously not happy about the basically the yes vote to close 9 school buildings and 12 schools eventually overall in the Pittsburgh Public Schools.
Any thought about what they're going to do with those buildings? Will they sell them, or what will happen? Will they demolish? What will they do with these buildings? Will they just leave them just empty?
I'm not exactly sure yet. I know they were saying, some people were talking about how, it's not easy to sell the buildings. First of all, they're very old.
Right.
The superintendent of Pittsburgh Public Schools, Dr. Wayne Walters, I remember him saying on Wednesday that the average age of the school buildings in Pittsburgh Public Schools is 90 years old. The average age of the school buildings. So, it was very, very, very big topic. And,
great coverage, KDKA Radio too. I was kind of here on the air when the vote went down, and I'm a big proponent of public education in Pittsburgh Public Schools, but the times they are changing. All right, on a much lighter note, we are going to find out tonight if my Knicks will either play San Antonio or OKC. So who do you like in this Game 7 tonight?
It's got to be Oklahoma City. I mean, every time I think of these 2-2 series,
right,
and then the home team wins Game 5 to go up 3-2, and then that road, the home team, in Game 6 wins, forcing a Game 7. Not all the time, but most of the time, that home crowd in Game 7 is going to help them propel to victory, because I think these teams are evenly matched, pretty much, but the home crowd advantage and all the hoopla is going to be happening tonight in Oklahoma City. I think it's going to give their team just a little bit more than San Antonio. And I think the Thunder will pull it out, and they'll host Game 1 against the New York Knicks Wednesday night.
Yeah, here's the thing about the Knicks. I've been listening to some pundits the last couple of days, and they all seem to be in that really Jets, Giants, Yankees, Mets, Rangers, Islanders. The Knicks are really New York's team.
No doubt. For so many years I've wondered what is the top team in New York, and I've talked with hundreds of people about this. And the city, for the most part, there's more Yankees fans than Mets fans, but there is a split.
Right.
Same, like you said, with hockey. Most people are Rangers fans, but you have the Islanders fans. But one thing I've been told is that everybody agrees on being a Knicks fan.
One guy actually said the Brooklyn Nets should just leave. They should just leave.
Yeah, they're not even. They're not even a factor.
I was talking about the PRT earlier today and these new routes, and it made me think about what they were saying in New York with people taking the subway and various means of transportation. Now, that's a city of 10 million. That either to the Garden or back home to the suburbs or wherever, even Jersey, these folks, they were just all wearing Knicks gear, chanting and singing and celebrating. So if not for anything else, that basketball team brings that city together.
Yeah, I mean, when I think of basketball, I think of Rucker Park, a legendary park where so many basketball players played over the years and over the decades. So many stars and celebrities and just people who went on to become, great players. And so when you think of New York, yeah, I know some people think of the Yankees, but really when you think of New York, it's kind of a, gritty, tough, basketball type of town, and especially in those 5 boroughs.
Well, it's crazy because I've been a Knicks fan since Willis Reed and Walt Frazier and DeBusschere and all these guys and Senator Bradley, but Patrick Ewing, Bernard King. But it's ironic if Jalen, just give you an idea how big the Knicks are. People have said if Jalen Brunson leads them to a victory, he will be the greatest Knick of all time. And I'm thinking, there's this guy, then there's this guy, but you can't argue. He has been playing great basketball.
Well, it's funny, Rob. I was, we were talking about this last week. I obviously wouldn't think he's one of the greatest Knicks of all time, but I keep forgetting that if you look at some of that social media, a lot of those Knicks fans who are basically jumping off light poles in Manhattan, they don't remember Patrick Ewing.
No.
This is their first time. If you're 25, 26, 30, even 30 years old, you don't remember the Knicks being in the finals back in 1999. So for a lot of people, basically 33 and under, this is their first interaction with a really good Knicks team that's gone to the finals. So they think of Brunson and Anunoby and all these people as the superstars.
Listen, Mike Brown has done a great job with them, there's no doubt. And they had to get to the final for it to be a successful season. But I think they have a much better chance against San Antonio, even though Wembanyama has become a dominating force for sure. But I think if they take on SGA and OKC, it could be lights out. I mean, because that's a great. Honestly, I don't know if it wasn't for Wembanyama, obviously, but I still can't believe they pushed that to a 7th game. I can't, because SGA and that team is loaded.
Yeah, I think the Knicks have a better chance against San Antonio, but if the Knicks beat Oklahoma City, they can honestly say they beat the champs, the defending champs, to become champs. Not that maybe that doesn't mean much, but
can you imagine what New York will be like if they win at the Garden, and like a 7th game? I don't even know if it would be at the Garden, but can you just fathom if they even win the NBA title, what it's going to be like?
You know what? I obviously was not around in 1973 when they won that second NBA championship. There was no cable back then, no internet, no social media. Could you imagine? Now that the Cavs are out, I want to see this happen. I want to see the Knicks win this title.
Speaking of the Cavs, you hear the latest rumor.
What's the latest? LeBron?
Giannis and LeBron.
Both.
That's like the big story breaking in the last 24 hours.
Well, their owner, Dan Gilbert, said he's stopping at no. There's a whole lot of people with rocket mortgages, so he can
hey man,
get the Cavs whoever they need.
I would love that. I would love that. But let me just tell you about Rob Taylor, why he is big city Rob Taylor. I guarantee you, I have no chance to ever go to the Garden. That'll never happen. I'll never get a ticket. I wouldn't even know what subway to take. I'd be lost until they would go into training camp in the fall. But if I really wanted to go right now and I got tickets, somehow, some way, Rob Taylor would get me into New York and get me to the Garden.
You know what? I've been to New York one time. 2012 Memorial Day weekend, and I did find myself right next to the Garden. I remember it was Memorial Day weekend. They weren't in the playoffs or anything, so I was standing right at the Garden. And what's funny about the Garden is, I mean, you walk right up to it, but then it's covered behind, PPG Paints. Other arenas, they're kind of like real big. You can see them. But in New York, there's so many tall buildings. You walk up to the Garden, you don't even know you're really at the arena because you don't see a huge arena. You just see an entrance to Madison Square Garden, and the arena kind of is tucked a little further down. You don't see like a huge arena walking up to it. You don't really see the arena. You just see an entrance. It says Madison Square Garden.
What's that place like?
I've never seen.
New York though.
Oh, New York. It's so walkable. It's so dense.
If I was inside of that place, meaning the skyscrapers and on the sidewalk, would it feel like it would if I was on Fifth Avenue downtown?
In Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Maybe about what Pittsburgh looked like downtown maybe about 40 years ago.
Okay.
Those Mondays and Thursdays when everything was open downtown Pittsburgh.
Late, packed.
Yeah, that's what it feels like all the time. But I was just telling somebody about this. Times Square looks big on TV. Not that big in real life.
What I heard.
Yeah, it's not that big. It looks huge, but when you get there, you realize you almost feel like you can just touch all the buildings.
Did you feel safe there?
I did.
Well,
there were so many police. There were so many NYPD walking,
oh, cool.
Driving. I mean, I don't know. It just felt like everybody felt like it was Memorial Day weekend, so it was a lot of visitors. It seemed like to me, and I saw so many police. I really felt safe 12 years ago, 13 years ago.
But I don't know. The Lakers maybe back with Showtime, and when they had some of those folks show up, Nicholson and them. But my goodness gracious, the Knicks, Spike Lee's the diehard. He's the real deal. But Ben Stiller and Timothy Chalamet, they're all at these games.
Let's make sure we get one thing straight.
Okay.
A Los Angeles person, compare that with a New York person, night and day.
Night and day.
Night and day.
Can you imagine, though, how excited they are? Imagine the parties at home, the bars, what they're going to do in New York on Wednesday night. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Well,
they're probably hiring more people right now. I mean, the cab drivers, everyone. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to be making juice. I hope the Knicks win it, and I hope it goes 7. But this Jalen Brunson, I didn't realize he won 2 national championships, spent a little time with Dallas, ended up with the Knicks. He seems like a really good dude.
Yeah, he is. I think so, yeah. And he's Josh Hart, he cracks jokes. But what's funny about those Knicks fans, I feel like, could you imagine if we were makers of Knicks jerseys? We'd be rich right now. Everybody in New York has a Knicks jersey.
Well, it's funny. Dr. Shufo, who's a big Knicks fan, she'll be here tomorrow. Villanova, she loves Jalen Brunson. When she went to New York, I said, pick me up some gear, and she did. But every time I get around my kids, I give them everything I have. I just empty it out, take it. So I saw my middle son the other day was walking his dog, and he had it on. And I thought, maybe I could just take it back for the series and give it back to him, But, man, I just love the Knicks ever since I was a kid. Walt Frazier was my all-time favorite. And I still see him at the Garden, and he still does some, broadcasting, what have you, but he's still as cool as ever. But Earl Monroe, Willis Reed, 6'9" center, which was like unheard of. But they got some stroke right now, and I like the look. And I'd like to see Mike Brown get this too.
And little inside baseball, when you're watching the finals, it'll be on ABC, and Mike Breen's going to be calling it. Oh, remember, he's a Knicks broadcaster.
I know, WFAN for years.
Yeah, he calls the Knicks on TV when he's not doing national. So if he gets a little extra excited, you'll know why.
You know where Breen made his claim to fame? He worked with Don Imus for years.
Oh yeah, he was the sportsman.
And when they were simulcasting years ago, I think it was then MSNBC, but now it's MS Now. I could not wait to watch that. I thought that was the most fascinating broadcast. I still check out the WFAN every once in a while. Boomer, obviously, but. Breen was great.
Oh, yeah. He was at that Malice. I think what really blew him up was he was the broadcaster at that Malice at the Palace.
Yes.
In Detroit when Ron Artest went into the stands. He was the one that said, Artest is in the stands.
But the Knicks of Marv Albert, they've always had
great announcers.
Oh, my goodness gracious. The Rangers. Great. Listen, I go back. You don't even know this name. Kiner was with the Mets.
Ralph Kiner?
Yeah. But Rusty Staub, who was a legendary player with the Mets. WOR New York. I love New York. And I got to tell you, if I ever hit the lottery, we're going to get a private corporate jet right out of Pittsburgh, you and me, and we're going to go watch a Knicks game. And I like even the Jets. They took the Jets. They got rid of Shea Stadium. I don't think the Giants playing at the Meadowlands in Jersey is good for New York. I would much rather see them play in the heart of the city.
Yeah, and most New Yorkers don't even like that MetLife Stadium, that new stadium.
We're pretty lucky here in Pittsburgh. Everything's kind of compact. We got 2 great stadiums. We got a great arena. Now we just need to get a WNBA team.
Yeah, and, I kind of like the fact that we're not so big that, my friend could be a Jets fan and then I could be a Giants fan. We're all Steelers fans here.
That's right, baby. Love it. All right, good stuff, Rob. Let me get a break. We'll get right back to your calls in a moment.
Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
News Radio, KDKA, Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Quality Foods with 8 locations to serve you at Pittsburgh tradition. Jared Jones returned, O'Neal Cruz homered, but it was Brian Reynolds who got the curtain call with a walk-off homer. Bucks beat Minnesota 6-5. Two teams again today, PNC Park. First pitch 4:05, 93-7 the Fan. Carolina defeated Montreal 6-1. They move on to the final in the chase for Lord Stanley's Cup. They'll drop the puck Tuesday against Vegas. And it's Game 7. Winner moves on to the final in the NBA against the Knicks. It's happening tonight, San Antonio and OKC. And the Riverhounds will host Miami tonight. And through 2 rounds of the Charles Schwab Challenge, your leader is Jordan Smith at 10 under with a 1-shot lead. More sports at 937thefan.com.
At Audion Hearing, our mission is simple: to make better hearing affordable for everyone. We're proud to offer high-quality, rechargeable hearing aids starting at just $98. Clear, comfortable, and ready to use right out of the box. And here's a study worth hearing. Research shows that wearing hearing aids can reduce your risk of dementia by up to 61%. Join over 1 million happy customers and hear the difference today by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
New to Medicare, get covered with MediConnect. Listen Wednesdays around 1:40 to hear Lance O'Brien of MediConnect help you navigate the Medicare process. Simply great, unbiased information to get you the best healthcare coverage. Get covered with MediConnect. Medicare made simple.
Pittsburgh's 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
All right, let's get to Andy in Butler. Andy, good morning and welcome back to KDK. How are you, sir?
I'm really good, Rob. I hope you are too.
I am good. Thanks for calling. What's on your mind today?
So you're talking about the Pittsburgh Regional Transit, you're talking about schools, and you're talking about jobs. And I don't like saying this, but maybe it's got to be said. Pittsburgh used to be a city of 600,000 plus and growing.
Mm-hmm.
And now Pittsburgh is a city of 300,000 something and falling. It's half the city that it used to be. Okay? And I know you like talking about all the neighborhoods in Pittsburgh and whatever, the 96 neighborhoods in Pittsburgh. But the truth is, by population, half those neighborhoods don't exist anymore. Okay? So they've got to cut back on the buses can't go everywhere, and they shouldn't. And you can't have schools everywhere like you did before, and you shouldn't, because the population's not here anymore. About half these communities where you say there's nothing on Main Street anymore, and it's heartbreaking, but those aren't communities anymore. They're not neighborhoods anymore.
Well, let me just ask one thing, because I like all these places, even if they are suffering as far as businesses go. But, I was in Butler for someone's mother's funeral, and I hadn't been in Butler in years. Butler still seems to have a bit of a pulse. I mean, there still seem to be a lot of things happening in Butler. So what's the difference? Why is Butler working?
Well, because Butler doesn't try to be Pittsburgh. It doesn't try to be big. Pittsburgh's still trying to be what it was when it was 600,000 people, and it's not. Butler has little summer events going on all summer. They have sidewalk shopping and stuff like that, where all the businessmen, they bring their stuff out on the sidewalk and people walk up and down Main Street. And Butler's small; it's walkable. They do concerts in the little around the main park in Butler there, around by the courthouse in that area down in there. They do the car thing. They do the Jeep thing. So Butler's happy being a fun little small town. Okay, they kind of lean into it. You know, we're not trying to be anything big. You know, we try to keep what businesses we have here. We fight for it. But Pittsburgh's still trying to be what it was before, and it's not. Some of these neighborhoods are going to go away. Pittsburgh needs to become, they need to lean in, my thought, I'm wrong about lots of things. They need to lean into being what they're becoming, a small city. Be a good small city. Stop trying to be a bad big city.
That's an excellent point, Andy. That's right. Be who you are.
Be who you are, okay? If some of these neighborhoods end up going away, then what you've got, there's really nobody there anymore. You've got, business storefronts that are empty. At some point, you need to look into knocking all that bad real estate down. Businesses will come in and build on a clean lot a lot faster than they will come in and have to clear the lot first and then build.
I think a lot of these communities that I was mentioning and others should look into more about leveling first and then rebuilding. And look, it's better than looking at an eyesore. I'd rather look at a lot with grass on it or some sort of foundation, brick, concrete, whatever, as opposed to looking at a building in which the roof is collapsing.
I'll agree with you on that. All right? You're probably better off knocking that building down instead of letting it go to that point. And that eyesore drives people away from whatever community you have left. Like I said, the idea of clear bulldozing a whole Main Street, some communities are going to, you go out to Arizona, you go out Midwest, there's ghost towns out there. There's nothing there anymore. The town is gone. You can buy them for $1 because, it's 3 fallen down buildings and a dirt Main Street. There is no town anymore. I hate saying that's going to happen to Pittsburgh, but some of the communities are going to end up getting shuttered the same way the schools are, the same way the bus routes have to be changed around. It's a hard thing to say, and I don't have the answers for it, but what I'm saying is Pittsburgh needs to lean into who they are. Become a good, small city instead of a bad, big one.
Good stuff. That's a great analogy, Andy. I never thought of it that way. Good stuff. Hey, good to hear from you, okay?
Have a good morning, Rob. Sorry to bring bad news.
That's okay. No bad news. It's reality. It's what we need to do. Look, we all want to be who we once were, but guess what? None of us are what we once were. Fair statement?
I know I'm not what I once was by a long shot.
But I'm still.
And you too. We get older. We remember what it was. We'd love to have it back, but reality is, Ted was saying for these kids today, for them that they think it's normal. For them, it is normal. It's what they grew up with. It might not be the normal we want them to have.
But you know what? Life will go on no matter what we think. Life will go on no matter what happens. It's just you turn the page. You just move on.
You turn the page. You move on. Hey, have a good morning.
You too, buddy.
Love your show.
Thank you.
Bye.
All right. 866-391-1020. So do we think small as opposed to trying to reinvent the wheel? Mayor Gainey said it perfectly. Kaufman's and Horns aren't coming back, but maybe we go about it in a different way. 866-391-1020. Your call's next.
Chuck McDowell here with Red Pocket Mobile. How long have you been stuck with the same phone plan? 2 years? 5? 10? Are you tired of surprise fees and confusing bills that never match what you thought you were paying? Cut the nonsense.
Right now at redpocket.com, new and existing customers adding a line can get our premium 5G plan for just $5 a month. That's only $60 a year.
And here's the kicker. Red Pocket Mobile gives you access to all 3 5G networks. You pick the one that works best where you live or work, or switch anytime for better coverage. And with Red Pocket, you keep your phone and your number. Why in the world would you not switch? Red Pocket Mobile, your new ultimate cell carrier.
Celebrate Memorial Day with big savings from Red Pocket Mobile. Right now, new and existing customers can get our premium 5G plan for just $5 a month. Just $60 a year and choose from all 3 major 5G networks with one locked-in low price at redpocket.com. That's redpocket.com. redpocket.com.
When it comes to family law, a lot has changed in recent years, so assumptions can be costly. If you see or sense a change coming in your family life that could have legal implications, it's important to know where you stand. Getting good legal advice early is never a bad idea. I'm Joe Cordell of Cordell & Cordell. If you or anyone you know is facing a family law issue, start with a consultation. Visit CordellCordell.com.
Pittsburgh and Cranberry Township. Joseph Cordell. Licensed in Missouri and Illinois only.
Retirement. It's almost here. Are you ready? Well, join Kurt Kanodik and Ethan Lane of Accurate Solutions Group for your retirement blueprint. Let Kurt and Ethan help you plan for your retirement dreams. Don't miss your retirement blueprint Sundays at 10. Investment advisory services offered through ASG Investment Management, LLC.
Hearing the news every day is one thing. Hearing it hit home is something altogether different. That's the difference you hear every day on KDKA Radio. We go beyond the benign headlines and bring the news to life, your life. So stay here and hear the news and what a difference it makes. 100.1 FM and AM 1020, KDKA.
From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
It is 56 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 6:30. I'm Rob Taylor. A 5-year-old child was flown to a Pittsburgh hospital after he was found in a pool in Washington County. It happened Friday afternoon around 2:40 in a 200 block of Pine Nut Drive in Nottingham Township. Family members pulled the boy out of the in-ground pool by the time troopers and EMS arrived. CPR was performed on the boy before he was flown to a Pittsburgh hospital. Right now, that child's condition is unknown. 2 people were taken to the hospital after a crash Friday night in Brookline. It happened when that car collided with a pole at Route 51 and Edgebrook Avenue Friday night around 10:45. Both the driver and passenger trapped in the car. Both were eventually rescued. The male driver and female passenger were both taken to the hospital in serious but stable condition. That crash is under investigation. Well, a potentially tragic situation diffused by Aliquippa police on Friday. Mayor Dwan Walker says police saw a 10-year-old boy pull out what looked to be a real gun from his waistband as they drove by. They quickly located that boy, were able to identify him and notify his mother without incident. The gun turned out to be a fake gun. Now, Mayor Walker says while they're grateful no one was hurt, the incident serves as a reminder of how quickly a situation can escalate and how devastating the outcome could have been. The mayor also reminding residents to talk to their kids about the dangers of guns. In Harrisburg, a 15-year-old high school student was shot and killed after getting off a school bus. Police say it happened Friday afternoon around 3 o'clock. Police believe the alleged gunman then fled on foot. No other students were injured. Investigators trying to determine the circumstances that led to the shooting. The identity of the 15-year-old male high school student has not been released. KDK Radio News Time at 6:32. Let's get to the AccuWeather forecast next.
The KDKA AccuWeather forecast is brought to you by JP Roofing and Siding, Pittsburgh's #1 Platinum Preferred Roofing Replacement Contractor. Call 412-829-7711.
We will have mostly sunny skies today. A nice afternoon with a high up to 72. Tonight we'll have clear skies. It's going to be chilly with a low down to 45. Mostly sunny tomorrow. Another nice afternoon. High moving up to 75. 75 again on Monday. For AccuWeather, I'm meteorologist Matt Riddy, 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
Hi, this is Larry Richard. Join us Monday on the Big K Morning Show, 5:30 until 9, as we welcome the month of June with a list of things that you can do in and around our hometown.
Folks have been very patient, so let's get right to work and say hi to Bishop in Donora. Hey, Bishop, welcome to the show. Good morning.
I'm doing pretty good. 2 points. I was just I worked and lived in New York for a period of time. It's 55-45 Yankees. I was just up there in Mother's Day weekend at near the Garden. I've been at the Garden. It's really nostalgic. It's It's really, New York is just New York. They put it that way. Let me just say this. I am very appalled at those teens who attacked that man over at East Liberty. The disgrace, they should be charged as adults. And I would not put it past law enforcement to charge their parents if they're egregious as far as their parenting as far as these youth. Now, I've had a little bit more time to study this closure, and I talked to you some time ago about the Pittsburgh closing the schools last week. Maybe they should have another regional, in my opinion, tech school in Pittsburgh, because that's the growing thing now, and teaching these high schools who wants to go into the field of plumbing, electricians. That's where the money is. And other auto mechanics. That's where the money is. Diesel, all that kind of stuff. Maybe they should think about that. And maybe one more magnet school. And they're going to reformat a couple of them, I believe, from what I've been hearing and their discussions or whatever. But, yeah, the closings had to be done, majority of them, because you don't have the population to sustain them. And I don't know why a lot of the parents, you don't want your taxes to go up higher, but yet still you want to keep schools that are not sustainable as far as the population, Mr. Pratt. That's the problem. And me as a councilman, that's the decision that we have to make as far as with citizens that elect us to be making decisions, our decisions, that taxes go up, buildings may have to be shuttered, buildings may have to be torn down, so forth and so on. And it puts us in a bad light. And I felt for those school board members who had to make that hard decision to tell parents, no, we're going to have to do it. We don't have the money to sustain them. What do you want us to do? You can't get blood from a turnip. Now, let me just say this, Mr. Pratt. The young lady that the carrier had the audacity to put on there, they do good coverage, but cursing and everything like that, that is a bad example to kids. And the kids think that they can emulate that, their parents doing that kind of nonsense, and think that they can come into the school and do the same thing to the teachers. That's the problem. And now you all work in education, and they can't do that, because if they do that, they get suspended. And if they want to get violent, then they get cut. Okay? See, that's what I'm saying. That stuff has to stop. Because I'm in favor of the teachers, and I'm not in favor of teachers being assaulted in any kind of way, in any kind of form. That's my position on it. And as far as with Pittsburgh has its uniqueness, and yes, now the census says it's increasing as far as population, but I think it's decreasing. I think a lot more people are trying to get out to the suburbs. If you really look at it, Mr. Pratt, if you look at it, Beaver County's growing. If you look at my county, Washington County, look at I-79 quarter. It's booming. They're putting up all kind of housing complexes and so forth and so on, and South Springs, Peters. It's just booming. Pretty soon they'll be going into Houston, Pennsylvania, Washington County. So I think people are just leaving Pittsburgh for tax purposes as well. That's where we're at, Mr. Pratt.
All right, Bishop, thank you very much. So, I saw this story just moments ago, the ratings for MS Now and CNN and Fox. Fox continues to climb. The others are declining. So my question to you is, if this president has such bad approval rating as far as numbers go, why are so many people still watching the brand that he promotes and really the brand that he continues to make? Murdoch may have got it started, but Trump has got it soaring to new heights. And, I mean, these shows like Hannity and that, they're still skyrocketing. I mean, who knows if these polling numbers are even correct? And the sad thing of it is, the reason I did support Trump in various aspects of who he is and what he was trying to do, because it always came back to me thinking that he could actually help return some of those manufacturing jobs that we had here in Pittsburgh. And, you know, when you think about it, you had the Nippon U.S. Steel deal. That's now disappeared from the headlines. No one's even talking about it anymore. None of the people that serve this region politically have even talked about it from the very beginning. No one's talking about, you know, another cracker plant coming. Nobody's talking about more nuclear energy and what we're going to do. Nobody's doing anything. All we continue to do is talk about what we can do to red up, to fix up, stop crime. How can we help public education? Let's do a better job when it comes to brick and mortar roads and bridges. But don't anybody or any of you understand, unless you have jobs, you can't do any of that. You can't have a stronger police force. You can't have any of it. And the Pittsburgh Public Schools, I said this just the other night, and I'll say it again. Unless you find a way to start bringing more people into the community, more jobs, those middle-class, working-class jobs that have the healthy paychecks that they can afford to have the taxes taken out and still have an affordable lifestyle, it's not going to stop. And here's the other thing that nobody's paying attention to, but I am. I had one child who went through public education. The other two were fortunate enough to go through the Diocese of Pittsburgh their entire school life, from kindergarten to high school. But you're going to have more children opting out to go to private schools, because if they decide to go to a charter school or a cyber school, that money's still coming out of the school district. So sooner or later, one or the other, it's not going to work. It's going to basically implode. But you will have more people who have that income, that live in the suburbs, that have decided to move out of the city for whatever reason. They're going to start sending their kids to more Catholic schools. And I think North Catholic, Central Catholic will continue to thrive. You may even have more Catholic high schools opening in the near future unless we figure it out. And look, I'm all for Catholic education. I'm all for cyber education. I'm all for public education. But I don't want to see anybody suffer. But it's graduation season. And there are some schools within the sound of my voice that are graduating 40 and 50 kids. That doesn't work. It just doesn't work. And you have to figure out what you're going to do to build things up. And when you don't, listen, when you don't even have people that can sponsor the football team or the basketball or the softball team or the little program that you have every year with the little ads, think about it. There are some of these schools that are playing sports that have the program that have the same two sponsorships. And usually it's like a fast food restaurant that's a major chain or somebody who's been in that community for 5 generations. You know, when I was selling advertising and doing play-by-play, I could do anything. I mean, it was incredible what I was able to do with selling. But these little communities now, some of the schools that I did back in the day would be next to impossible. I just happened to drive through one of them in Ohio the other day. I'd be hard-pressed to even be able to find a sponsor. There's nothing but empty buildings. And when you don't even have people on a summer night, and it's not officially summer yet, but it was a nice night recently, and there's nobody walking downtown, isn't that a sign of something? Look, I'm not running for office, but if I were 20, 25 years younger, maybe I would. But I don't even know if I could have stopped it, because I watched some great politicians at Harrisburg level, at the county level, at this, I mean, you name it, the national level, some great politicians, but they couldn't stop it. So who is responsible for so much of corporate America disappearing? I don't know. But I want you to do the deep dive over the next couple of days, because we're going to be with you through Wednesday night. And unless you talk about these issues, you can't correct these issues. But I want you to either, where you live, if you live in one of these river communities, or you kind of grew up in one, go back and take a look. Take a good, hard look. You know, it's pretty bad when you see videos, or I should say film, transferred over to videos from some of these communities from the 50s. You know, Rob was talking Pittsburgh 40, 50 years ago. Places like that, the trolleys and all the movement, the activity, lunch hour, the holidays. I mean, do you realize how much we have lost? I'm asking you that right now. What do you remember about where you grew up, say, 30, 40 years ago? Have you ever seriously sat down and thought what you're missing? And I got to tell you, I used to love to take these Sunday drives. Won't do it anymore. I go straight home. And I try to stay off the beaten path. Look, I don't even like driving by some of these former malls that are still malls, but they're on life support. I mean, when you go through a stretch of highway and you see a mall that you used to go to 40, 50 years ago, and it's a Saturday afternoon, and there's maybe a couple of hundred cars in the parking lot, and some of them are there for park and ride. What's that tell you? I mean, how much more do we have to see disappear? When this penny store closed, you know what somebody said to me? Oh, there's still other penny stores. Yeah, but we don't have ours at the Beer Valley Mall. Ross Park Mall is going to lose theirs. I mean, you understand there are people that work for pennies and have worked for pennies for 30 years. You can't just keep sweeping these things under the rug. I talked to a teacher the other day who will remain nameless, basically told me they're going to close his building. I mean, how many more of these buildings can we close? How many more of these stories can we say the end, bring the curtain down? I mean, sooner or later, we got to get out of the mode of shuttering and ribbon cutting. We got to start ribbon cutting, but you don't do that unless you have a job or a workforce that actually can supply all of this stuff or go buy stuff from these places. The madness has to stop. We're hitting a little close to home today, but these are stories. I mean, the PRT story. I mean, there's so many things that tie into what's happening in this region. Row offices trying for term limits. I mean, there's so many things that are happening because everybody wants to see at least government trying to make it smaller, make it different, do changes. Look, government's not the problem. Jobs, the lack of jobs, that's the problem. 866-391-1020. A couple of lines available. We're going to come back. We've got a couple of folks waiting in the wings. We're in open talk until 8 o'clock today on KDKA.
When the weather turns bad, turn to us for the best news, weather, and traffic information from the KDKA Radio Storm Center. Presented by Duquesne Light Company. Larger than light. Online and on the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA. News Radio, KDKA. Sports.
Sports brought to you by Coons Quality Foods with 8 locations to serve you a Pittsburgh tradition. Jared Jones returned. O'Neill Cruz homered, but it was Brian Reynolds who got the curtain call with a walk-off homer. Bucks beat Minnesota 6-5. 2 teams again today, PNC Park. First pitch 4:05, 93.7 The Fan. Carolina defeated Montreal 6-1. They move on to the final in the chase for Lord Stanley's Cup. They'll drop the puck Tuesday against Vegas. And it's Game 7. Winner moves on to the final in the NBA against the Knicks. It's happening tonight, San Antonio and OKC. And the Riverhounds will host Miami tonight. And through 2 rounds of the Charles Schwab Challenge, your leader is Jordan Smith at 10 under with a 1-shot lead. More sports at 937thefan.com.
When you're at work, you never know when you'll be interrupted. But with the Dell Pro, powered by Intel Core Ultra with vPro, no matter what distracts you, your laptop won't. It's battery optimized for the way you work with built-in intelligence that quiets distractions when you need to focus. Your laptop will help keep you locked in, even when it's bring your dog to work day. Built for those who stay in the flow. The Dell Pro, built for you. Dell.com/Dell-Pro.
Here's the tale of the daily Medfill. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
My dad passed away unexpectedly. Of course, it was awful in every way, but we are very grateful that he had life insurance. So even after he was gone, he was still able to provide for us. And that's why I have life insurance for my family. Ethos.com. They make it fast and easy to get covered. It's 100% online. You get a quote in seconds, and you can apply in minutes. You get covered the same day.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/protect. That's ethos.com/protect. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required. Rates may vary.
Another app for inventory, one for CRM. Oh, don't forget accounting. Wait, which login was that?
Or you could use Odoo, one fully integrated system that does it all without the hassle. Ditch the app overload. Get everything your business needs on one platform. Try Odoo free today at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Every time one of my children started driving, it was terrifying. Thousands of accidents happen across the country. We see it every day. If you've been injured in a car accident, call us.
Dial #law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
SchultzFord.com. 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 SchultzFord.com.
Hear about it. Then talk about it. 100.1 FM and AM 1020. KDKA.
You know, the other thing, when these neighborhoods were flourishing, crime could have never moved in. Would have never happened. They would have taken upon themselves to remove it. Look, you couldn't even hang out on a street corner without somebody saying, you've been standing there too long, keep moving. And look, you need police officers on the beat, walking, but you can't do it unless you have a tax base. 866-391-1020. Here's Joanne in Point Breeze. She joins us on KDK. Good morning, Joanne.
Good morning. You know, when you forget your history, you're bound to repeat yourself. And it was the anniversary of that little, 5 or 6 year old integrating the school somewhere down south. And she didn't know what was happening, and her mother was walking through, and you had mainly these women and some men that didn't want this child to go to that school. And it had nothing to do but the color of their skin, and it's still happening now. I could go on and on about what's happening now and law enforcement. I believe in law and order, but a lot of this stuff goes back to years and years ago, our history. We want law and order, but we don't want law and order when you don't look like them. Anyway, it's just crazy. And the last thing I'm going to say, because I have a lot of things that I could talk about. Neighborhoods, Garfield and East Liberty, those neighborhoods have not changed. They've changed, but as far as they have gotten better. You look at East Liberty. I mean, you still have these children who've been unleashed in these neighborhoods and are just out of control because you had people that felt they had a juvenile court, and they don't have it now. They have guns out there that these kids have. You don't hear anything about gun control. Almost every one of these kids have guns because they feel they have to protect themselves because the other kids have guns. There is so much craziness happening. And really the last thing I want to say, please don't tell me that there's not crime in Butler and every other area. There is crime. They just don't have the big TVs out there.
Joanne. We know there's crime everywhere, but there are some communities who still have a pulse and are still doing things. And Butler happens to be one of them, and Ambridge happens to be another one. There are places that are doing well, but there are places that somebody needs to start talking about this stuff. See, this is the big problem within this region. That's why I will sing the praises of Sarah Innamorato and Rachel Heisler and Corey O'Connor, because they're at least saying we've got issues. I mean, Rachel Heisler, right after that vote went down the other night, I was quoting her social media page on the air. She basically is saying, you got to mind your P's and Q's, as your grandmother used to say. You got to start being responsible. Look, there are certain things I'd like to do. Hey, when I was on this radio station in my 40s, I could do anything I wanted to do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I had multiple jobs and I had resources. No more. A lot of times, instead of going somewhere, I go home. And sure, would I want to go somewhere or do something? Yeah, but I have to realize where I'm at in my life. And it's time to start backing down. Look, no matter what anyone says, when you get to be older, and I am, and when you start looking towards retirement, and I am, because we all do at this age, I don't know if it's a year, 2, 6 months, who knows, but it's knocking on the door. you don't get to do the things that you used to do when you worked. You don't. You have to scale down. You do end up on a fixed income, and you just don't want to work the way you worked because you realize you gave up your life for work, for people who are now grown, living their own lives, and you don't want them to feel as though you're a burden, so you basically let them go and enjoy their life. It's the cycle of life. My parents did it. I've done it. It's just human nature. But nobody should be living in an area where they can't get to a grocery store. Nobody should be living in an area where they can't go to the bank. I mean, or their doctor or dentist. I mean, do you realize that these communities have gotten so disconnected that some people literally have to hire Uber to take them to the grocery store? And why do you think things like DoorDash and others are exploding right now? Because people can't get the simplest things. I've had people tell me they have had to get a DoorDash or an Uber driver to go pick up a prescription for them because the pharmacy that they went to is gone. Do you understand how many Rite Aids closed simultaneously? Do you know how many people worked in those Rite Aids? This is what blew my mind. I was actually at a red light one day just outside of Aliquippa, and I looked up and I saw the empty Rite Aid building. And then no sooner did I see that, I got home and something popped up on that local newspaper app, and the workers at the Aliquippa Rite Aid were thanking the customers. And a few of the employees had been there 20, 25 years. So I started adding up just the Rite Aids in Beaver County, because this is how my mind works, because I do care about people. I want people to be able to at least have things that they need to live, right? That they don't have to spend their whole day trying to find a way to get something small just so they can stay alive, like a prescription, right? Or food. And I started thinking the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people that stocked those shelves, worked as a technician behind the counter, ran a cash register, mopped the floors. Gone, out of work. Where are those folks now? Where did they go to work? You see, we have just gotten so used to saying, nothing I can do. I mean, imagine if our parents, grandparents, and people who built this country to what it is today had that same attitude. Imagine where we would be. I want you to think about what I said, your old neighborhood, where you grew up, how times have changed, even where you are now, say, even 30 years ago. You know you're going to want to talk to me. You know you have feelings. You know you understand, as I'm telling you, it's all disappearing. And a lot of you are so laser focused about trying to get through what you're facing that you're not even looking around you. You're not even looking around you. You're basically just driving. Take a look. Right, left, take a look. Just see what I'm talking about is true. All right, let me get to a break. We're going to take a break. Stay with us.
While you sleep, there are people you've never met who are working hard to make your morning. People who get up at ungodly hours to make sure you get the information you want. People who dedicate their lives to make yours better while you sleep. These people come together during the Big K Morning Show with Larry Richert, 5:30 to 10 in the morning, to make sure you have the best news, traffic, and weather to start your day. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees. When used as directed, spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
Why'd I go to the doctor? Working on the farm, my heart kept skipping a beat. I didn't think much of it, but my daughters made me get checked out. Turns out I have atrial fibrillation, which increases the risk of stroke about 5 times.
Symptoms like irregular heartbeat, heart racing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, or lightheadedness can come and go. But if it's AFib, the risk of stroke remains. If you have symptoms, contact a doctor.
I'm so glad I did.
Visit notimetowait.com. Sponsored by Bristol Myers Squibb and Pfizer.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-700-6898. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-700-6898. That's 800-700-6898. For $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898.
She's back. Join Dr. Bridget Shufo at 9 this Sunday morning and see how her wellness and weight loss help you get rid of excess weight and, more importantly, keep it off with a healthy lifestyle. It's Dr. Shufo's Health and Wellness Show this Sunday at 9 a.m.
100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA. Covered by JP Roofing and Siding. Pittsburgh's #1 platinum roofing company. Listen to KDKA Radio on the Odyssey, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn apps.
KDKA and KDKA-FM HD2 Pittsburgh. W261AX Pittsburgh.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. From the Aetna Medicare Studios.
Proud to be the voice of Pittsburgh. 100.1 FM and AM 1020 KDKA.
It is 56 degrees at Pittsburgh International at 7 o'clock. I'm Rob Taylor. Police say a woman stabbed another woman Friday evening in Wilkinsburg. It happened along Cole Street. Police say 36-year-old Brittany Williams threatened multiple people with a box cutter before allegedly stabbing that female victim. That woman was taken to the hospital on the ward on her condition. Williams, meanwhile, is facing charges including making terroristic threats, assault, and reckless endangerment. As of this morning, Williams is not in police custody. A 5-year-old child was flown to a Pittsburgh hospital after being found in a pool in Washington County. It happened Friday afternoon around 2:40 in the 200 block of Pine Nut Drive in Nottingham Township. Family members pulled the boy out of that in-ground pool by the time the troopers and EMS arrived. CPR was performed on the boy for about 40 minutes before he was flown to a Pittsburgh hospital. As of this morning, the child's condition was not readily available. In Brookline, a crash Friday night sent 2 people to the hospital. It happened when a car collided with a pole on Route 51 right around Edgebrook Avenue. Happened around 10:45 Friday night. Now, both the driver and the passenger were trapped in that vehicle. Both were eventually rescued, taken to the hospital in serious but stable condition. The male driver and female passenger. That crash is under investigation. Well, Pittsburgh police are asking for your help to find a missing 12-year-old girl. Leilana Bernal was last seen on Friday morning on Parklow Street in Knoxville. She's described as 5'2", brown eyes, brown hair, known to spend time in the 300 block of Brownsville Road. Anyone with information on her whereabouts is asked to call Pittsburgh police. In Dallas, 3 people were killed after an apartment building exploded. Here's the latest from ABC's Morgan Norwood.
From the owner of Clyde Apartments, and we kind of got the backstory of kind of what led up to this and what was happening here. They tell me that the building says a company was working for the property's future buyer. They were doing some soil testing on the property here for a redevelopment project to turn these apartments into